Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of NASCAR 06 Total Team Control. And in tonight's race, we have the NASCAR Cup Series side, and it is going to be at the Texas Motor Speedway for the running of the Dickies 500 in this 500-mile, 334-lap race again at Texas. Like, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, and as we get into tonight's coverage, it should be an entertaining one. This is one of the most challenging mile-and-a-half tracks on this game. I'd say this and Charlotte are the two hardest to just simply drive. The cars are going to be very unstable at these high-rated speeds on this mile-and-a-half. And not only that, you clip the apron, you're going around more than likely. So we're going to try to do whatever we can to not have that happen. But for 500 miles, it will be very, very tough. We'll hop into qualifying. We'll see what the car is going to handle like post-practice. And we'll see if Greg Biffle can make a run at the pole. Coming off a DNF and an engine failure late at the Texas Roval race yesterday, with just 15 laps to go, got in a crash battling for 6th place late, and unfortunately ended up finishing in 37th as a result, despite leading 99 of the 226 laps in that race. And Greg Biffle going to have to try to come back once again. He's still third in points, but he has fallen from 21 points out of first to now 118 out of first. So he lost 97 points yesterday to the points lead. We have a new points leader as well. Carl Edwards comes into this race with his second different points lead of the season. And Elliott Sadler just lost the points lead after leading for about 5 consecutive races. Greg Biffle, following his warm-up lap, rolls into turns 1 and 2. Pretty good lap going for himself right now, and I have to say this car actually feels really good. Better than what it did even in practice, although there's clean air right now. And Biffle trying to go for the ultimate clean air and trying to qualify on the pole. We'll see if he can do that. Little loose off turn 4, but stays in the throttle. 9th on lap 1 of a 29.731, and down into turns 1 and 2. He overruns the corner just a little bit. Catches it in the middle. It's not a bad first corner. He really drove it in a lot deeper, though. A lot better in turns 3 and 4, though, on lap 2 versus lap 1. And as he approaches the start-finish line on the front stretch, it looks like that first lap is actually a little bit quicker, and I think it's because of him overdriving the entry to turn 1 just a little bit. But Greg Biffle going to be starting in the 9th place position tonight. Jeff Gordon will be on the pole with Kurt Busch on the outside of that front row. I think I'm going to take that half round of suspension out of it. Add just a bit more downforce. We're going to add a little bit more downforce. I want to make sure this thing's actually going to be glued to the racetrack. Desperately. In hopes that I glued the car to the racetrack. 118 points feels like a large deficit. It is, but it's still within one race worth of points, and we still have 13 races to go, so I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, 5 DNFs this season. That definitely hurts. Honestly, by the end of a normal season, there's championship winners that could have 4 to 6 DNFs. It just depends on how they do the rest of the year, and we've had 5 DNFs so far this season. So it's not completely out of the ordinary. It's just the fact that it's happened in the first 23 races, so we're going to have to go on a pretty hot streak here to end the season. Billy Carjoy, Mark DeMars, Wade Selinsky, Patrick Shadley, 48K Forgotten, Derek Booth, the Hungry One, and others. Welcome into the stream tonight. And we'll get this race underway right here, right now. Gordon coming off an engine failure at the Texas Roval yesterday, leading laps as well. We'll see if he can also try to conquer his 3rd win of the year. Green flag is in the air as Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch lead the field of the green at Texas. Down on the inside lane, going to lose a spot, it looks like. On the opening corner on the opening lap of the race. It's Elliott Sadler in the 38 who started on his outside, cleared him, although Biffle might get this spot back if he can get by the 10 of Scott Riggs, who's on his outside. Dale Jr. going to lead lap 1 despite not qualifying on the front row. Greg Biffle started 9th, and he's up to 9th, drives it in deep into turn 1. I have to figure out turn 1 a little bit better. Both the drivers that started on the front row are falling back, and Kurt Busch is back to 6th already, and Sadler's underneath him now. And Mark Martin's going for the lead in turn 3 under Earnhardt. And he's got it. Mark Martin leads. He led a lot of laps yesterday at the Texas road course as well, but blew an engine with 7 laps to go, running in the top 5 at the time. Definitely kicking things off with a fast pace today. Biffle on the inside of his teammate Kurt Busch. Busch has fallen in 2.5 laps from 2nd to 9th. Not a strong start for the guy 4th in the point standings. Sadler stuck on the outside. Ryan Newman gets under. Biffle clips the apron just a little bit already. Slides up the track. Kurt Busch slides up even wider. He is in the wall. Tony Stewart's going to get around him for position. Meanwhile, Biffle to the inside of Elliott. Sadler trying to get under there. There's a little bit of contact. Biffle still trying to catch the race car after the contact, and Tony Stewart's going to get around him on the outside. Sadler really squeezed the 16. God, I'm not trying to hit that apron. I hate that I've hit it like 3 times already in 4 laps. Yeah, Mark Martin leading at Texas. He's also trying to get his 3rd win of the season, much like Jeff Gordon. And Junior, after leading the first lap, is all the way back to 7th already. So some of those drivers that qualified up in those top couple rows, like Kurt Busch, Dale Jr., they're falling back. And even Gordon is back to 6th, as Sadler's going to get around him for 5th place. That might be why Sadler really tried to pinch Greg Biffle off, though, too. Is knowing how fast of a car he's got. He was just trying to hold on for all the track position he could. Way too early again. Junior trying to get a spot back on Jeff Gordon. Greg Biffle trying to lurk for position right now on Tony Stewart, the 20. I think Stewart's holding Biffle up a little bit because Kurt Busch is looking to try and make another pass on Greg Biffle after Biffle just got around him. Stewart not leaving enough of the bottom open, and it's such a treacherous racetrack to try and pass, as we've seen in the early going. It's the reason why most cars are single file already. That last lap for Biffle's already quicker than the lap it took for him to qualify in 9th. Looking all the way underneath Tony Stewart. Stewart thought about blocking on the back straightaway. Biffle maybe underneath him going into turn 3. Tony Stewart, the big block going into the corner. Biffle cut him a break there. Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle have kind of had a little bit of a history these last handful of races. Of course, it was Stewart who kind of caused the accident in which Greg Biffle had crashed out in late yesterday. I should say not crashed out in, but caused the caution, which then caused Biffle to end up wrecking a couple laps after the ensuing restart. Biffle had a big lead at the time of Tony Stewart chopping him off, trying to stay on the lead lap. And of course at Darlington, Tony Stewart almost costed Greg Biffle the win there in that 400-mile race. Greg Biffle going to get by Dale Jr. Tim Irvin, thanks for tuning in also. Looks like Ryan Newman's up to 3rd. Martin Truex Jr. trying to go for his 4th consecutive top 10 finish. Good runs for the rookie in recent races. Tony Stewart down to the bottom underneath Martin Truex Jr. Biffle still has not been able to get around him. He got by Jr. Now trying to get by Martin Truex Jr. off the exit of turn 2. He's got a run. He's underneath. They'll be side by side into turn 3. Trying to desperately keep it off that white line, and it's easier said than done. Can't clear Truex yet. Side by side on the front stretch, heading towards turn 1. A little bit of contact. Deep dive by Biffle. That was an aggressive move. And it did not pan out for Biffle. Tried the old slide job maneuver. And now he's stuck on the outside. Truex, Busch got around him. Earnhardt tried to get around the 16 as well. Biffle barely able to stay in front of Dale Jr. for 9th. Got 2 DEI cars and 2 Roush cars under blanket. Kurt Busch moves up the track a little bit. Turns 1 and 2. Biffle down to the bottom underneath him. There's a madhouse right now. Pretty much from 6th on back from the start of this race. Biffle going to get that spot back on Kurt Busch. Slide job never works. I wouldn't say never. It worked briefly, and then I slid up a little too far. Dale Jr. going to get by Kurt Busch as well. These guys are really racing, though, in the beginning of this one. Truex with a nice little run on the front stretch. Slides a bit wide, though, into turns 1 and 2. We'll tighten that dirty air behind Tony Stewart. Greg Biffle will pick up the spot for 7th. Got aero loose that time in turns 3 and 4 with the 1 all over his back bumper. Car turned more left in the center of the corner than what he wanted to, and it caused him to hit the apron. Truex in the wall pretty hard off turn 2. That's going to give Biffle a little more space out of the rearview mirror, and shouldn't have to worry about getting aero loose now, and again try to go on the attack on the 20 car of Tony Stewart. Can't wait till I play NASCAR 08 with the car of tomorrow. That'd be interesting. I've never played that game. It'd be kind of cool just to run both cars during the season. I don't know how that's going to work with the season mode on that game, but I'll figure it out before I actually go to start the season. .29.605, that last lap for Biffle, his fastest of the race through 17 completed laps at Texas. Notice how important that track position is at the front of the field. Mark Martin was able to get to the lead, and he hasn't lost it since lap 2. Junior got to the lead on the opening lap, and Gordon, who fell back to about 5th or 6th, has been stuck there the whole race after qualifying on the pole. Didn't even lead a lap. It's hard to tell who's in second place up there. Maybe Carl Edwards, but I'm not entirely sure. Well, trying to get a run on the 20 car of Tony Stewart. Not really able to get enough to get underneath him, though. I want to be careful. I don't think it's going to be smart to try and intimidate him. He gets loose, and I'll probably run into the back of him. I think we're just going to have to be patient now. It's a 500-mile race. Biffle can't afford any more DNFs this season. I know he's only 3rd in points, but it's quite a big gap right now, even between 2nd and 3rd in the standings, but very tight between Gordon, or sorry, I should say Sadler and Edwards. We're both running 2nd and 4th as of right now, assuming that Edwards is the car in 2nd. Edwards going to go wide, though. Ryan Newman may get underneath him, and it is Edwards in P2. Amazing how tightly bunched together the top 7 are, all within 0.8 of a second of each other. 29.604 that last lap for Biffle. Fastest of the race for him. Newman will clear Edwards for second place off of turn 2. So the main focus here for Biffle, beat the 38 and beat the 99 on a weekly basis. At all costs, even if it means that you're not going to necessarily win. And try to get as many bonus points along with that as you can as well. Biffle on the inside of Tony Stewart finally had enough of a run to get underneath him. And he's going to clear him off turn 2 for 6th. Sadler, Edwards side by side for 3rd. Newman has a hard charge on Ryan Newman. Newman has a hard charge on Martin. I saw the 6th and I thought Ryan Newman, but he's in the 12. Earl, thanks for tuning in. Stewart's starting to lose these guys now. It took Biffle a long time to get around Tony Stewart. Edwards going to lose another spot. Sadler underneath him. Last time Sadler was on the outside. Oh, Sadler really crowds the 99 of Edwards that time. Bottom opened up. Biffle to the inside of Jeff Gordon and Carl Edwards, I should say. 3 wide at Texas. And off the exit of the corner. Contact between Gordon and Edwards on the outside, and Biffle's clear. What a move by the 16. And he's up to 4th. That was a risky move, but man, it paid off. What a pass. 24 was kind of sliding wide in the middle of the corner once he got underneath the 99, and that allowed Biffle to actually clear them all. Move his way up to 4th. Trying to close on the leaders. Blub, thanks for tuning in. Sadler trying to get by Ryan Newman for 2nd. They get side by side. Biffle's going to have a pretty big run on him. You also got to wonder what the tire wear could look like as well, and how much harder it's going to be later in the run to pass versus earlier in the run. Somebody bottomed out just ahead of Biffle. Not sure who it was. Biffle overdriving turn 3 just a little bit. Really, everybody 2nd through 4th did. Sadler almost gets to the inside of the 12 off the exit of turn 4, but not quite. Definitely have a nice little battle going on right now towards the front of the field. Lap 30. Elliott Sadler up the racetrack. Overdriving turn 3. Trying to block Greg Biffle on the back straightaway. They're both going to have to regroup. Biffle got tight in the dirty air, and the 38 just kind of went really low to try and block. .29.552 for Biffle that last lap, his fastest of the race. Sadler underneath Ryan Newman, side by side. For 2nd, Biffle squeezes to the inside of Ryan Newman. Side drafts him on the backstretch a little bit as well. And they're side by side for 3rd. Sadler going to go a bit wide now. Biffle can't quite get underneath him though. And off the exit of turn number 4, Biffle has cleared. Ryan Newman squeezes underneath Elliott Sadler, but Sadler holds on. Sadler gonna block again all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack. Up the track he goes. Second time he's overran the corner. Biffle didn't overdrive it himself that time, though, and he's going to get to the inside of Sadler off turn 4. Really trying to side draft him, but it's not going to work. And the 38 holds on again. Got some hard racing going on right now. Some fun racing, though, at that. Martinez, thanks for tuning in. Biffle really being aggressive with his line going into 3, knowing Sadler was going to try to probably drive it in deep again. Biffle a little loose off turn 4. Didn't lift any extra, but that might have scrubbed enough speed off. Stays on the bottom, though, into 1 and 2. What a battle for second. Biffle trying to use up a little of that outside groove on Sadler, and Biffle's clear and up to second. We'll see if Ryan Newman can also squeeze underneath the 38 of Sadler for third, and it looks like he'll be able to do so. Not quite clear off turn 4 yet. Now he'll be clear by about the start-finish line. How about Mark Martin in the 6? He has led quite a few laps in the early going of tonight's race. All but the first lap of the race he has led, which was led by Dale Jr. That right rear tire starting to burn off on the 16 of Greg Biffle. Jacob NASCAR, thanks for tuning in. I'm in your walls. What does that mean? You the ghost that's haunting my house? There's no ghost haunting my house, I was just saying. Before anybody asked me the question in the chat. At least not that I know of. Biffle's definitely used those rear tires up, though, trying to make these passes for position right now. I'll say that much. Been a fun race at Texas, though, so far through 39 laps. And now Biffle has closed on his teammate Mark Martin. He's really going to be looking for the lead any moment here. A little too far wide, though, off the exit of turn 2. That's not going to help things. We'll alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today, while Martin sits in the lead. Greg Biffle with a little bit of a run on the front stretch, but honestly, I don't even think I'm going to be willing to pass Mark Martin. These tires are really starting to go away. You can see on that tire wear indicator that just flashed on the upper right-hand corner of the screen in the middle of 1 and 2, both the rear tires in the yellow. Greg Biffle, after starting 9th, has definitely used them up trying to get to 2nd. And he's kept the car relatively clean. I think the smartest thing he can do right here is just wait it out to the end of the run and hope he could cycle ahead of Martin on pit road. Knocking himself sideways into turn 1. One car blew up and is on pit road. Yep. Thank you for that. Did not see that. Unaware of who that is. Biffle got off turn 4 a lot better that time. Has a big run on the 6 of Martin. Also pulls the 12 of Ryan Newman behind him by just a bit. Down into turns 1 and 2. He was so close at white line. That was really a perfect corner, though, by Greg Biffle. To run that close without touching the apron. This has been a challenge, though. I tightened the car up a little bit before the race from qualifying and a little bit for practice to qualifying as well. And honestly, as the tires are wearing out, it's just slowly getting more unsteady. As those tires are really burning off the race car, it's becoming a handle for these drivers, and especially the 16 of Greg Biffle. He's got a fast car. It's almost hard to want to make an adjustment. And just to try and hope that these tires are going to make it to the end of the run without getting extraordinarily loose that puts Biffle at risk of wrecking is going to be huge right now, especially as he tries to stay in second, because he's still got pressure from behind from Ryan Newman. If Newman gets close enough, it could get Greg Biffle aero loose. May have to even consider letting Ryan Newman go if he does get dangerously close and he is really, really lurking at trying to pass Biffle. Biffle just kind of sits behind Martin. And I don't know if Biffle might be a little quicker than the 6, and the 6 is kind of holding the 12 and the 16 up. Definitely could be the case. Biffle doesn't even want to test to try and pass his teammate right now. Doesn't feel it's going to be the right time. He made an aggressive 3-wide move earlier on Gordon and Sadler for 4th. But that was also much earlier in the run when they only had about 20 laps on their tires. PS2 games are the best of all time. Yeah, I'd probably say a lot of my favorite games are in the PS2 era. Ryan Newman challenging. Almost got to the inside of Greg Biffle. Biffle holding on dearly for second place right now. Driving it in really deep into turns 1 and 2 as he tries to hold on for second place. Great corner by Greg Biffle. Pulled away from Ryan Newman just a little bit more. A little tight in the dirty air on entry behind the 6. A lot wider arc going into the corner. I can really feel when Martin moved down right on top of the 16. The car want to move up a little bit in the center of the corner. But these top 3 cars are definitely breaking away from the rest of the field. Corey Freed, thanks for tuning in. Biff a little loose off turn 2 that time. Had to lift, and Newman's got to run on the back straight. Biffle's got to make sure he doesn't do that too much. Don't want to see what happened to Kyle Busch at Fontana in the Busch Series 2 nights ago. Biffle's got to run underneath the 6. Side by side for the lead between Biffle and Martin. Martin went up just a little too high. Biffle wasn't really looking to try and pass. Biffle gets sideways off turn 2. Contact and around he goes. And gets T-boned on the right front fender by another car. Oh, man. Just got loose on the inside of Martin off the exit of the corner. He couldn't hold on. Sadler piled in and hit him pretty hard. And an early crash for Greg Biffle in the 16. That's why I didn't want to pass Mark Martin, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to hold onto the car enough, because it was a challenge before that. Biffle can't pit for fuel or tires because of really causing the accident. Accident wasn't my fault. No, how is it not my fault? I spun out. I mean, it wasn't my fault in the sense that the car was getting looser. But I lost the handle of it. There's that fine line you don't want to overstep, and me being side by side trying to keep it off the 6 car on the outside. And I kept it off of him. I just lost control. Honestly, if the car stayed on the bottom of the racetrack when it spun out, I think I was going to be all right. Green flag back in the air. The good news is Biffle's going to get 5 bonus points if we try to look at the silver lining. But unfortunately, looks like Borsed's going to get to the lead. Fast pit stop for that 36 team. Good heavens. And Greg Biffle's going to have to be making an unscheduled pit stop. Which is definitely going to put him a lap down in the early going. Borsed leading for a fast stop early in the race. Biffle's going to pit this time. So he is not going to be able to hold on to the car on these tires. He was already loose before. 4 tires of fuel for Greg Biffle. Pretty good pit road entry there. No adjustments this time. Actually, I'll put a half around a wedge going into the car. We're going to tighten it up just a hair. Just a skosh. I mean, I could have gotten aero loose with Newman behind me, but he was behind me the whole time. I didn't get that loose. I think I was doing a really good job. Well, I was doing a good job, obviously, keeping it off of Mark Martin, but I had to keep the car pinned so close to the bottom to keep it off him. I couldn't let the car feed all the way to the wall like I was when I was sitting behind him when it was much easier. So Biffle's going to be a lap down after that first caution of the race. Everybody is basically pitted around the same time, but Biffle's going to be a little bit behind the 8 ball, and he's got to hope his car still got some decent speed. He took a big hit to the right front side of the race car from Elliott Sadler, who was second in points. There are a couple other cars that had minor damage involved, but I don't think they had anything near the significance that the 16 and the 38 have, and there's a caution, so Greg Biffle's going to be back on the lead lap with this yellow flag coming out, and it's going to be debris off the 38, so Biffle will get the free pass. He'll be back on the lead lap, but he's going to be at the tail end of the field now, so it's kind of worked itself out in the sense that he's going to get 5 bonus points. He is back on the lead lap. I would have thought Sadler would have repaired damage when he came into the pits, but I guess that wasn't the case. Cleanest pit road entry I've ever seen. I don't know how I got down there that quick. I mean, I usually practice coming into the pits a couple times. But with cars around me, you're right, and how loose my car was, I'm actually kind of surprised. I'm glad you pointed that out, though. That's actually kind of... Thank you. It's somewhat rewarding. Loosey-goosey is right. Alright, well, green flag back in the air, lap 62, following our second caution. Again, that was for debris. Following the first yellow, Greg Biffle back on the lead lap. We had 15 cautions last night at the Texas Roval. Should say yesterday afternoon at the Texas Roval. When I was younger and had a shaved face. Yeah, that, what was it, the Battle of Bikini Bottom game? That was like one of the greatest games of all time that I played growing up. That was a fun game. I have not played that since I was a little kid. But I can vividly remember a lot from that game. That was like the only non-sports game I really ever played growing up. I would count like the wrestling games into the sports side of things. But yeah, that was pretty much about it. Well, we know to pass cars early in the run because it's going to be much harder to pass cars late in the run. So Greg Biffle got to go after it right now, and then I'm going to just park it behind somebody once we get about halfway. Once I feel the car getting just a little loose, and we get about halfway through the tire stent, I'm done passing cars. Because we can pass. We're fast enough to pass, especially these cars at the tail end of the field. We're definitely faster than. I think we can get back up there eventually. It's going to be a while because I'm going to kind of take my time in the sense that when my speed starts to eclipse because of the handling, I'm not even going to push it anymore. Biffle sitting behind John Andretti. The 14 pulls low, back straight. Carl Edwards leads this race now. Just after the restart, he got to the lead for the first time today. Greg Biffle's win streak came to an end yesterday when his teammate Matt Kenseth went to victory lane, but Roush Fenway Racing has won the last 6 races, with Kenseth and Kurt Busch each having 1 win in that stretch, and Greg Biffle having 4 wins in that stretch of 6 races as well. So Roush Fenway Racing trying to go for 7 straight victories tonight at Texas, as they have really dominated the season as far as wins, and that's part of why they have 1 driver leading the points. They have 3 in the top 4, and they have 4 in the top 9. The only outlier is Mark Martin. Even he has a couple wins this season. So Biffle's able to get some laps led earlier. It wasn't really the right way. I wanted to lead laps under the caution and pit under green, but we ended up getting the quick restart. And Jeremy Mayfield taking it 3 wide under Greg Biffle. Scott Riggs, he had a big run on the backstretch. Didn't want to waste any time. Biffle a little loose on the outside lane. He hasn't really been up high at all today. He's kind of struggling for grip up there. Have to hold the outside off turn 2. Well, the good news is he is holding the outside well. The bad news is Jeremy Mayfield got to the bottom and he hasn't passed Biffle, and Biffle can't quite stay in front of him. But if Biffle can play enough defense here, he's got to block him midway down the front stretch and clear into turn 1. Back to the inside goes Biffle. That was a great job by Greg Biffle. He held on to the outside. Got really, well, not really loose, but he got loose enough once that he could have wrecked the car. For the most part, pretty clean. Hangs on to 34th. Jeremy Mayfield still trying to put a lot of pressure on him. Biffle will pull him in the middle of 3 and 4, though, and finally start to go on his own way. I should try to stream it. I don't even have it. I just remember playing it when I was younger. I remember playing it and then I didn't have it. Or like I turned it in or something to get like money for another game when I was younger. Somewhere or another I didn't have it, and then I got it again. And then I haven't had it since I was probably like anywhere between 8 to 10 years old. About the last time I had a PS2 before I bought it for the classic NASCAR games on the channel. Lap car down to the bottom, going up the hill. Biffle might get underneath the 176 car now through turns 3 and 4, and he does. Gonna side draft him on the front stretch as well. He'll make the pass into turns 1 and 2. Scott Riggs qualified 8th and is at 35th. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I kind of forgot he did start it right in front of us. It has not been a good season for Scott Riggs. I'm sure it wasn't in real life in 2005 either. But outside of the Daytona 500, I think he had a top 5 in that. I don't remember him doing too well outside of that. Jason Leffler popped the wall pretty hard off turn 4 after Biffle cleared him for 31st. Jimmy Johnson running pretty deep in the field right now in the 48 Lowe's Chevrolet after qualifying in the top 10. It's underneath Mike Bliss, so a couple drivers outside the top 5 in points, but inside the top 10. Kind of struggling here, including Biffle, I guess. Biffle lost his track position. But, Carl Edwards in the 99 really pulling away at the front of the field, and he's looking like he might have the fastest car in the field. He's got the clean air for the first time after taking the lead just after the restart. Wall trip. Oh, into Johnson, and they're crashing on the outside, and back across traffic goes the 15 of Waltrip. Cautions out for the 3rd time, and a hard crash for the 15 and the 48. Back across the front bumper of Jason Leffler, and then piled in from behind by a couple other cars was Kenny Schrader in the 49 car. Oh my gosh, that's a hard hit for Leffler to the right side door of Michael Waltrip's number 15 Napa Chevrolet, and we have another caution in this race. Greg Biffle's going to pit. Everybody else is going to stay out. Now, this is going to put Biffle back in traffic a little more again, but there's no limit to how many tires we can take in the Cup Series, so he's going to go off strategy. He's going to pit for 4 tires and fuel, and we will see how this is going to work itself out. He's going to have a longer period of time of trying to pass cars now that he's going to have fresher tires as well. Michael Waltrip was trying to block Greg Biffle in the back straightaway into turn 3, and then he ended up just kind of flatlining the entry to 3, and up into Jimmy Johnson he went. Played Need for Speed Most Wanted PS2 when I was younger. I didn't have any of the Need for Speed games. I think I did play a couple of them before at like friend's house growing up, but I don't think I actually owned one of them when I was growing up. But I could remember playing it. Kind of the same way with like with Grand Theft Auto. Not so much when I was that young, but in my teenage years, like I had played it, just I never really owned or bought the games. I wasn't into playing those games on my own time necessarily. I couldn't tell you what Need for Speed it was that I played though. It wasn't on a PS2, so I doubt it was that one. I would not be shocked if we saw some debris cautions from either Waltrip, Leffler, or even maybe Kenny Schrader and whoever hit him from behind. That crash collected really about 4 or 5 cars. And Edwards' big lead is gone, and we do have a caution off turn 2 for debris. I saw it laying right on the apron of the racetrack, like a fender off of Leffler's car. And actually, it might have been, yeah, I think it was off the front of his car, so the right front fender potentially gone off Leffler's race car. 4th caution of the race now. 2nd for debris following that Waltrip and Johnson crash that we saw moments ago. We'll see if the field's going to pit here. If they do, Biffle will stay out, get that track position back. But if they stay out, Biffle will come back in and pit again. And that will... Oh, no! Abort! No! I didn't think they were pitting. It's going to be fuel only then for Greg Biffle. God dang it. Could have gotten all that track position back. It's going to be splash and go for Greg Biffle. That was a mistake. I wanted to stay out. I didn't want to pit there. We literally only had like 2 laps on our tires. Oh, and now there's a mistake trying to get the fuel can in. That's the 2nd pit stop in a row. He did that on the stop before that, too. The gas man having some issues today on Biffle's pit stops. Yeah, I don't think anybody stayed out. Looked like the full field pit I'm not sure if we'll still see debris cautions or not, if Leffler still has that damage. But Biffle did gain track position. He's up to 18th. Unfortunately, he could be the leader. And that's not the case. Green flag back in the air at lap 85. Again, we've had 4 cautions in today's race at Texas so far, and we'll see how things will go from here. Caution for debris back in the pack, I believe, probably off Leffler's car. I noticed his hood looked like it was about to fall off. And it looked like it was off Leffler. Sadler's hood was already off. So you got 2 cars without hoods now because of damage at Texas. And Elliott Sadler running mid-pack after running top 10 before he crashed earlier. So he's kind of having a tough go of things. And we'll head to another restart. I think that pace car needs new axles or something. Look at the tires bouncing up. Probably got a major vibration going on inside the race car. Lap 89 restart. Caution again. Man, I thought we saw the last of the debris, and I guess not. 6 cautions already in tonight's race. And this is off Michael Waltrip's race car now. His right front fender has fallen off. So, I mean... Alright, I'm surprised with the pit stops they didn't repair damage. Still trying to run this out. Caution fest at Texas here early on. At least Biffle's relatively kept his car clean. Cautions breeding cautions, that is true. And green flag back in the air. Up 93 restart. Good restart for Mike Bliss, but he went to the outside, and despite getting a good launch, I think the 31 of Jeff Burton may get by him. And Burton did get around Bliss. Bliss stuck on the outside still because Kevin Harvick's looking to pass him into 29 as well. Patrick Ellison, thanks for tuning in. Just like yesterday. Yeah, the only difference is yesterday I caused a couple wrecks. This one, I spun out once, but that was it. Just pushed a little too hard on older tires trying to make a pass under Mark Martin for the lead. That's why we're back in traffic, but we didn't have too much damage on the race car. And obviously, you could tell because Greg Biffle is still looking like he's got a pretty sporty car yet. Lucky. 29.404 that last lap for Biffle, his fastest of the race. It's a great lap. Looks like Edwards trying to pull away. They're side by side for second, a little bit further up ahead. 29.389 that last lap for the Biff. Can't quite get to the inside of the one of Martin Truex Jr. yet. Truex in the one car going up the track. He hooks Ricky Rudd. Oh my gosh, up and over goes Martin Truex Jr. Oh, a terrible crash. Oh my goodness. Truex up. Oh, it was Rudd actually. Rudd was the one that went up and over. And then Kenny Schrader piled in again just like he did with the Waltrip accident. 2 DEI cars have overran the entry to turn 3, wrecking the car on their outside. That time it was Truex. Cautions out, and Ricky Rudd ends up on his side. And we'll have another restart. Oh my gosh. I'm just glad we're missing them. They keep blocking down to the bottom in 3 when I have a run. And they're just clobbering cars around them. There's a lot of damage on the 1 and the 21. We'll probably see some more debris cautions. Rudd does not take off well on the restart there. Biffle trying to get around him. He doesn't want to be behind him in case Rudd ends up shedding a piece of debris. You know Truex is probably going to lose his hood at some point. Biffle clips the apron. Had to lift. Truex a bit wide. Greg Biffle pulls him. Even with Biffle's little bit of a hiccup. And Mike Bliss, Ryan Newman getting by Truex. So we're up to 7 on the caution counter right now. What's the record? 28 in the Coke 600. We had 28 cautions. This is, obviously that was 100 miles more than this race. So it'd be hard to catch it. But I mean, at this rate, you never know. We're on pace for probably a little over 21 cautions. We'd probably break the actual record again, but it wouldn't be the season record. So technically it wouldn't be the all-time record because we would have broken that earlier in the year. Again, in the Coke 600. Biffle's not been able to pick up a spot on the restart. Ricky Rudd didn't take off well. Biffle got underneath him, but then he clipped the apron a bit. Trying to play a little bit of catch-up. He's got to run on the backstretch now underneath Rudd. And he'll get underneath and pass him for 14th. So both the cars with severe damage running behind Biffle now. Fastest lap for Biffle in the race of a 29.367 that last lap. Quaffle underneath the 42 of Jamie McMurray. Greg Biffle to follow the 77. Remember, Quaffle finished 3rd on the Texas Road Course race yesterday, and we have a caution off turn 2, and I believe it is likely debris. And I think Biffle was scored ahead of McMurray when the caution came out, and it's debris off Truex's race car. I would have to imagine his hood has come off. And that is our 8th caution of the race. Maybe the right front fender came off if it wasn't the hood. Either way, we have debris again. And the field will stay out again. I'm sure Rudd's probably got damage around that right front fender where he could shoot some debris. Kind of like Truex did right there. Green flag back in the air. Jamie Mack to the outside. Oh, Biffle crowds him a little bit. Turns 1 and 2 on the restart. Lap 109, and if you're just tuning in, hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We have had 8 cautions in the early going of the Dickies 500 at Texas tonight. 13 races to go, 12 when the checkered flag flies tonight on this custom scheduled Cup Series season. Tomorrow night will be Busch Series racing at Talladega. That'll be an interesting one to say the least. Been a hectic race, though, here today. Biffle keeping the car clean. He spun earlier, but didn't really have much damage. It's late in the run when he was battling underneath Mark Martin for the lead. Martin hasn't even led since the string of yellows started coming out. Might have forgotten that we did have about a 45-lap green flag run to start the race. And then we've had 8 cautions, really, between then and now. Said going wide off of turn 4. Barely kept it off the wall, but Biffle gets around him. Sed's had a fast couple of pit stops today. Everybody's pitted twice. Pretty much only under cautions. Biffle's actually pitted 3 times. He topped off on fuel the most recent time just to try to gain some track position because he pitted for tires of caution before everybody else ended up pitting for tires. Clipped the apron a bit. He did clear the 9. So even though he lifted, he was able to kind of move up. Dale Jr.'s playground, yeah, that, especially this time period. Biffle underneath Vickers, I do believe. Nope, not quite. He's going to give Vickers a break and let him kind of pull down if he wanted to in the middle of the corner. Biffle trying to get underneath the 25 on the front stretch, side by side. This is for 10th. Well, Casey Mears in the top 10, trying to get back-to-back top 10s as well. Biffle just slides clear of Brian Vickers, and Vickers cuts down, looking for a crossover. Biffle blocks the bottom, trying to keep the 25 behind him. Oh, Vickers tags the left rear of Biffle's car. I think he got a bit tight. Pushing it way too hard, trying to get underneath the 16. Biffle holds on still. Vickers trying to challenge again to the inside of the 16 of Biffle. Ashley Moy, thanks for tuning in. Biffle, good speed down the backstretch off the exit of turn 2. What a fight going on for 10th right now between Brian Vickers and Greg Biffle. Vickers gets tight again in the middle of 3 and 4, but this time Biffle is going to be able to pull away because of it. Dale Jr. underneath 77 of Quaffle. That's a pass for 7th. Casey Mears trying to get underneath the 77. While he's stuck on the outside, and Mears trying to move up to 8th. Ashley Moy, welcome into the stream. This isn't the Texas Motor Speedway we know of today. This has actually been a good race so far today. Kind of sloppy at times for the AI, at least. Biffle doing what he can. Hasn't led a green flag lap yet today. Travis Quaffle, the 77, trying to block now. Up into Casey Mears, and they're crashing. And Mears back across track. Oh, he clipped the 25 of Vickers when he came down the track, and then Vickers hit head-on into the outside wall well after the crash. Watch this. Yikes, everybody else was able to miss it. But Vickers is going to get clipped right there. I mean, he barely got clipped, then he went head-on into the wall. All the 77 and the 41 went up. And that is caution number 9. And it looks like the leaders will stay out again. Ice Demon King 92 Hammer, thanks for tuning in. I'll tell you what, this is a fight today. We're not even to 200 to go. Man, both of those two are having such a good day. Until then. Hoping Bobby Labonte can go to victory lane. Yeah, he hasn't won Cup or the Busch Series yet on this season. I think he won a couple Busch races, but he didn't win a Cup race on our first season. We were doing the actual schedule, but he did make the chase for the Cup Series. Finished like 9th or 10th in points. Martin to the inside of Dale Jr. on the restart. Well, Biffle's worked his way up to 9th. Casey Mears, still scored in front of Greg Biffle. He got around Mark Martin on the restart, as well as Dale Jr. Martin going to cross him over, though, off turn 4. You'd have to imagine Mears has quite a bit of damage. Biffle just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by, trying to get under Earnhardt 3 wide, but couldn't quite squeeze in. He'll stay at least behind the 8 so he can get underneath the 41 and try to pass Mears for 8th. Big run on the back straightaway, but Biffle not going to try to pull out a line and pass Earnhardt, but Earnhardt moves up in the middle of 3 and 4, and Biffle will get underneath the 8 there. And Biffle's clear for 7th. Kyle Busch in 3rd. Good run for the rookie. Joe Nemechek looking for back-to-back top 5s. Finished 4th on the Texas Roval yesterday, and the Texas Oval trying to get another top 5. Good start to the day for Front Row Joe. Kurt Busch trying to battle his younger brother Kyle for position. Mark Martin and Greg Biffle nose to tail. First time since they were running 1st and 2nd earlier in the race. Edwards has led for an awfully long time Well, every restart we have had, he has still held on to the race lead. Martin getting tight in the middle of 3 and 4. Bottom lane opens up. Biffle to the inside of the 6. Nemechek lurking to the inside of Kurt Busch, who also went wide. Over driving turns 3 and 4. Nemechek to the inside of the 97. Biffle clears Martin for 6th. Trying to go quickly so he can get underneath the 97 off turn 2 with Nemechek underneath him. And it's going to work because he's there. Nemechek's clear. And Greg Biffle will move into 5th. And good day going for him so far. .29.303 that last lap for Greg Biffle. Slowly getting quicker and quicker and quicker. Halfway on fuel. So we know the tires are really starting to wear out at this point in the run, and he's going to have to decide on when he's just going to kind of sit back, not try to pass any more cars during the run. He's worked his way up quite a ways through the field. A lot of that was because of the pit strategy by going fuel only when he only had about 2 extra laps on his tires versus the rest of the field. It was a smart move. He was able to jump from about 34th to 18th. Nemechek underneath Kyle Busch for 3rd. Biffle all over the back of the 01. Trying to stay as close to him as he can so he can stay behind him and keep Kyle Busch on the top. Biffle drives it in deep into turns 3 and 4. He clears Busch. What a day for Joe Nemechek. What a last 48 hours for Joe Nemechek. Again, 4th yesterday at the Texas Roval, and now he's up to 3rd. This guy's outside the top 20 in points. I don't know what he's doing up here, but he's got a fast car. And he's challenging Stewart for 2nd. Nemechek going really low. Oh, he gets a little bit of contact from Greg Biffle. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's going to drop Nemechek outside the top 5. He's still against the wall. Finally got off of it going into turn 1. Biffle to 3rd. That had to have used Biffle's tires up a little bit with that contact. So much for having a good run. Back to at least 6th. And I don't think he's in 6th. I think Newman is. 2-car breakaway now after the contact between Nemechek and Biffle on the front stretch. We're going to take our first field pass of the race today when we get to the start-finish line this time by mirror full Kyle Busch for Greg Biffle. We'll go to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. He is back at 21st right now. Kenseth can't quite get underneath Jeremy Mayfield. Does get by the 25 of Brian Vickers, though, and that's actually Casey Kane in the 9, the other Evernham Dodge. Kenseth is battling with for position. Oh, clip the apron, up the hill goes Kenseth. McMurray, it's underneath the 17. Kenseth was trying to regather his car as he was loose on the outside off the exit of the corner, and he made contact with McMurray. Now McMurray's upset. Kenseth's car is a lot looser than Biffle's. Oh, Edwards is pitting. Is he? Oh, he's blowing up. Carl Edwards is just blowing an engine while leading at Texas. I don't know if he made it into the pits or not. Oh, no, he's slow on the front stretch right now. Very slow on the front stretch. Leader's trying to get by him. Hoping he can get to the apron into turns 1 and 2. Problems for the race leader, Carl Edwards, and points leader, nonetheless. Race leader and points leader, Carl Edwards, has just blown an engine after dominating the early going of tonight's race. He still hasn't made it in the pits. He's on the backstretch right now. Into turn 3. That is unbelievable. Tony Stewart has taken over the race lead. That'll move Greg Biffle to second now. So again, Carl Edwards, the race leader and points leader, has just blown an engine. He was only 20 points ahead of Elliott Sadler. Sadler is running mid-pack ever since he crashed. So even Greg Biffle, who's 118 out of first after DNFing yesterday at the Texas Roval, now he has an opportunity to potentially take the points lead today. Just has to finish and get a good finish at that. He hasn't led any green flag laps in this race. He led on strategy under caution, but that was it. That is unbelievable. Smear's trying to make some passes right now. Biffle, I should say Kenseth rather, down on the inside. 3 wide. Under Mears and Labonte. Off the exit of turn 4. They're still nearly 3 wide. We're going to get out of here. We're going to go to Kurt Busch in the 97 next, who's in 3rd. Kyle Busch all over his brother Kurt right now for 3rd place. Kurt just passed him moments ago. Looks like Nemechek is still in 5th. He hasn't lost much ground. Of course, Edwards blowing an engine definitely helps. Carl Edwards is out. I still can't believe that. The points leader has just blown a motor. And his rookie season, just like that. What has been miraculous so far, unless Elliott Sadler has problems, he's not going to be the points leader following this race. Sadler's only going to have to beat him by a few positions to take the points lead. Now, Edwards has led the most laps in this race so far. He's probably led pretty darn close to probably 80 through anywhere between 80 to 95 laps, I would have to imagine Edwards has led. But now Stewart's in the lead, and he looks to be about a second or so ahead of Biffle. Kurt Busch isn't really closing on the 20 at all. Barely pulling away from Kyle Busch. Sorry if you jinxed Edwards. It's kind of bittersweet for myself just because I have to play catch up in the points after I DNF'd yesterday. If you think about it, though, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle, and then if you count the start of today's race with Carl Edwards, 4 of the top 6 in points have DNF'd over the last not even race and a half. Between the entire race yesterday and then the start of today's race. I mean, that's going to end up evening the points all up. It's spread apart after yesterday, but if Sadler finishes mid-pack like he's running right now, and Kurt Busch ends up having an issue, we're going to be right back to where we were going into yesterday's race anyway. With the top 6. It has been an interesting race, to say the least, but the dominant car of the day, Carl Edwards, is done. And, I mean, it's wide open for anybody to win now. Warned me yesterday. Well, I couldn't switch once the game started. I didn't want to take Baltimore, though, because I wanted to... I mean, they won, but I wanted to save them for next week against Jacksonville anyway. And I don't know who I would have picked next week. So, I'm not too upset with it. I'm upset that they lost, but... We'll go back to Mark Martin in the 6th. He's in 14th. He's 4.2 seconds off the lead. It's like Sadler's slowly making his way back up. He's in 12th. Trying to get around Dale Jr. for 11th. No, I know you were talking about the Lions and Giants. I didn't say that it was going to be easy by any means for the Giants to win. I just went with that because that was maybe not the most confident game I had, but it was the smartest plan for what I had. I mean, the only other one I would have hesitated picking was the Commanders over the Texans, but I didn't trust the Commanders enough. I know they end up winning, but that's hindsight. I just didn't have full trust in them. I didn't have full trust in New York either, but I had more trust in them than what I did Washington. Oh, wow, big checkup there all of a sudden. Travis Quaffel's pitting late. Sadler checked up. Earnhardt almost ran into him. And Martin at full speed got to the inside of both cars in 3 and 4 to make the pass for position. So we've got some green flag pit stops going on right now at the Texas Motor Speedway. Nemechek got a pit. Martin's still on the racetrack. Swap quickly to the 97 of Kurt Busch again. Back to 1.6 seconds off the lead. Stewart's definitely quicker than the 97. He's got the track position. He wasn't that fast that opening run to start the race, but he's getting a little quicker now. Like Biffle staying on the track still. Mark Martin, Matt Kenseth both came into the pits that time off of turn 4. We'll transfer to Greg Biffle when we get back to the start-finish line. As long as Biffle stays out of the pits this time, which I'm really hoping he does, but he is running a low entry into turns 3 and 4. That tells me he may be pitting this time. And he is. So never mind. Greg Biffle will pit. So he's short pitting compared to Tony Stewart. We'll see where he'll cycle as a result. That definitely could allow Greg Biffle to cycle out in front. Vincent A. Polito Jr., thanks for tuning in. Kurt Busch just led his first lap of the day with race leader Tony Stewart pitting. I think Stewart pitted because he saw Greg Biffle pit the lap before. So we'll stick with Kurt Busch here just a bit longer, while we're waiting on him to hit pit road. I should say waiting for Greg Biffle to get out of the pits, which he is up to speed now. We'll go one more lap with Kurt. Yeah, we'll let Greg Biffle get up to speed. And then we'll transfer to the 16 car at the start-finish line this time by. I mean, pitting one lap before Stewart, that could be the difference in Greg Biffle cycling to the lead. Kurt Busch is the last car yet to have to hit pit road. Lap 158, back to Greg Biffle we go. Tough to tell exactly how far Biffle is behind Tony Stewart, but 4 fresh Goodyears on the 16, he can really try to attack now. So everybody will have pitted 3 times once Kurt Busch comes in from the lead. We're almost halfway home in this race. When we do get to the halfway mark today, which if I'm not mistaken would be lap 162, so I should say lap 163. When we complete 162 laps, we'll have tonight's trivia question. It'll be in a poll in the chat, which I already have. It's not up yet, but I'll give you guys 10 laps to answer in the poll collectively, and we'll see if you guys collectively can get the answer to the trivia question correct tonight. So change it up a little bit with the trivia in that aspect. And that'll be coming your way in a few laps. Kurt Busch on the bottom of the track trying to get up to speed in turns 1 and 2. And he is going to cycle out in third, right where he was running prior to the pit stops. But Greg Biffle in second. Tony Stewart 9/10 of a second ahead of Greg Biffle. The interval really didn't change. I mean, Biffle might have gained a couple tenths on him, but that was about it. And it's going to be very difficult to try and run that 20 car down. I think Tony Stewart's made the right adjustments to his race car to get his car where he needs it to be to try and win today's race. Taylor Klaus, thanks for tuning in. I did not. I don't really watch the news or keep up with news, so I honestly didn't hear about it. Like, California could blow up, and I'd be like, oh, what? California blew up? Like, like somebody could tell me like 5 days later. Like, I had no clue. Keep up with like NASCAR news, sports news, but only when it's around my team. Like, even if some other players like get traded in the league, I have no clue they happen until like the Packers play them or something, or I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. It's amazing how equal the 20 and the 16 are. It doesn't really seem like Greg Biffle's closing in on Stewart, but it doesn't seem like Stewart's pulling away from the 16 as well. A good little race going on right now. They're pulling away from Kurt Busch in the 97. So today's trivia question will be this. Which manufacturer is the only manufacturer in the NASCAR Cup Series to win at Texas Motor Speedway from the pole more than once? That is today's trivia question. Again, you guys will get a chance to answer it in the chat. Now, we'll give you guys until the end of lap 170 to answer that question. We'll see if you guys can get it correct. Which manufacturer has won from the pole more than once at Texas? Only one of them have done so. And we'll see if you guys can get the answer. You guys get to work together on the trivia question tonight. Give you a little multiple choice. I don't know if you can change your vote or not. Like, if you guys try to, like, work cohesively in the chat, I have no clue if you can. I know you can on, like, the community tab. I don't know about the polls in the chat, if you can change your picks or not. Jimmy Johnson's a badass at Texas. Alright, well, we were a little early on halfway. First I've seen you in the chat, Michael. Thanks for tuning in also. Got 28 people watching right now, 22 likes. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. It's been a great race at Texas so far. If you haven't watched yet, it has been action-packed, drama-packed throughout. Started off 45 laps, green flag racing. Great racing at that. A lot of aggressive moves at the front of the field. And then we had our first yellow right around lap 45. We have had 10 cautions in today's race since lap 45. And then really it ran from about then to about lap 120 or so. Right around there was our last restart. And this is approaching our longest green flag run of the race as we've gotten through green flag pit stops. Nobody pitted during the green flag stops, really between caution lap, I should say the caution that took place at around lap 90 and the caution between then, and when they ended up making their stops about 15 to 20 laps ago. Riffle's stuck at about 9/10 of a second to a second off the lead from Tony Stewart. Remember, it's who has won the most races from the pole. Only one manufacturer has done it more than once. So it's not wins as a whole. You guys have 2 more laps to try to get that question correct. I'll pause it for a quick second. When we get to the back straightaway at lap 171. And I'll see what the final answer is. Looks like Chevy is leading the polls right now. Jojo, thanks for tuning in. Been a little more aggressive these last couple laps, trying to get close to that white line without touching it. I'd say he's hitting his marks for the most part. Got to do something or hold a tighter exit to the corner by keeping the car a little lower, trying to take the shortest route. Best way he's going to have of trying to catch Stewart. And he's slowly catching up. He's 8/10 of a second off the lead now. We'll see what the trivia question. Ken Griffey turns 53 today. See, like that stuff I never know about. I don't watch the news. Alright, so we'll end the poll. You guys have gotten the trivia question correct. It was Chevy, and a lot of you guys seem to have answered correctly. Looks like we had 8 votes in the poll for the trivia question. 75% said Chevy, and 25% said Ford. So, yep, Chevy was correct. The 2 drivers to win for Chevrolet from the poll were Kyle Larson in 2021, and then Jimmy Johnson in 2012. The only other times that had a pole sitter win at Texas was Casey Kane. He was the only one for Dodge. The only one for Toyota was Kyle Busch in 2013. Kane's win was in 2006. And then Ford's only win from the pole was from Kevin Harvick in 2019. So that is the answer to today's trivia question with Chevy. So there you go. Congrats, guys. Getting it right. It's the first time we've had a trivia question where you guys got to answer collectively in the chat. You guys got it correct. Might do more that way. Maybe not like all the time. I'll probably mix it between that and the usual way. Just the smartiest. That comment tells a lot. I know you're joking. Greg Biffle is trying to push it into overdrive a little bit. He's doing that now while his tires are relatively fresh. Once he gets about halfway through the run, he doesn't feel like trying to pass anybody because he gets so loose towards the back end of a run. So that's why he's really trying to push now while he has the grip in his tires. Gotta say, honestly, I don't think that's a terrible idea. No lap traffic anywhere around the leaders either for Biffle to try to close that way or maybe even lose ground that way. We have no clue how good these guys are in lap traffic. Again, we've had 10 cautions today, so we've never had a chance of a long enough green flag run to catch any lap traffic in this one. So aggressive with that line. Really being as precise as possible. It's the hardest he has pushed the car all day, especially early in the run. Dale Jr.'s first Cup win was at Texas, but it wasn't from the pole. Oh, Biffle wiggled just a little bit, middle of the corner. It was because he tried to keep it off the apron. He felt he was a little bit too close. So he kind of let the car feed up a little bit in the center. Lost a tenth to Stewart. That's what happens when you push the car as hard as Biffle's pushing it right now. Biffle's only win on a mile and a half this year came at Las Vegas. And Kansas, sorry. Las Vegas and Kansas, he was able to get the wins. So 2 mile and a half victories. It is also worth noting, I have DNF'd 5 times this year. 4 of those times were with this paint scheme. So this is kind of a cursed paint scheme. All 4 times I've used this paint scheme, I've DNF'd essentially. And I can't remember what other scheme I DNF'd with. I think it was the Subway scheme with the same red, white, and blue colors, if I'm not mistaken. But the National Guard style paint scheme, not the greatest for Greg Biffle this season from a luck standpoint, but we're going to try to make our own luck today. Lucky in the sense Carl Edwards is already out. Biffle is definitely closing on Tony Stewart. He's within 0.3 of a second off of turn 4. Really kicked it into overdrive these last 10 laps or so. He's pushing harder than ever before, and he is slowly catching Stewart. They had made a little bit of an adjustment to this car to try to help tighten it up, to help the long run speed a bit. They put a half round of wedge into the car, which they had in qualifying, but they took out for the start of the race. And that might have been the difference in it being a little too loose later in the run. He still feels free later in the run, but not free to the point where he feels he's going to spin at any moment like he was earlier. Gotta get to the lead as soon as you can before these tires really start to wear out. Tony Stewart trying to run a little bit of a low line off the exit of the corners as well. Trying to change his line up a little bit as Biffle's really closing. For the first time in a little while, we may have a battle for the lead. Really, ever since Edwards blew an engine and gave Stewart the lead, we haven't had a battle. Low entry into turn 3 for Tony Stewart. Not as low as we've seen with some other cars today. Fastest lap for Biffle, 29.3 flat. So he sits in line right behind Tony Stewart. Looking low. Stewart trying to block down on the bottom of the track. Both cars drive it really deep into turn 3. It is a fight for the bottom around this racetrack. Biffle much better corner entry than Stewart. Stewart about a half a lane off the bottom, but not enough to have Biffle get underneath him to take that race lead away. Such a battle going on right now between the 16 and the 20. Trying to force Tony Stewart into a mistake. He did. Tony's going to go up the hill a little bit. Greg Biffle couldn't stick the bottom himself and still can't get around Tony Stewart. Forced him into an issue there, but Stewart holds on to the lead. Biffle wasn't perfect himself, but he still ran a corner better than Stewart. So he's caught the 20. Stewart's doing a great job trying to hold on to the lead. Biffle is so close. Most intense battle for the lead we've had today. Stewart trying to hang on. Remember, Greg Biffle's not led a green flag lap yet in this one. Biffle's pushed so hard for a decent amount of time now as well. When do you start worrying about the tires? He did a great job catching Stewart, but now he's having a hard time trying to pass him. Stewart is just blocking the heck out of Biffle. Anytime down the backstretch especially, Biffle seems to get a good run off turn 2. Tony Stewart's right there. What a race. Biffle overdrives the entry to 1. Stewart, not the greatest corner either, about halfway through the fuel run right now. Guys have to be abusing their tires so much at this point in the run. Right rear in the yellow on the tire wear indicator for Greg Biffle, lap 190. Guys are starting to approach lap traffic, which is going to be a potential difference maker in this one. Scott Wimmer towards the tail end of the field. Biffle clips the apron a little bit. A little bit loose off turn 4 with it. Stewart pulled him by about a half a car length. Man, this is just exhausting. He's pushing that hard, just trying to stay with him now. To catch him and then stay with him, trying to make the pass. Just can't do it. Clean air advantage Tony Stewart's got. Remember, Edwards blew an engine while leading earlier. We don't know what he could be speed-wise. I think lap traffic's definitely going to end up playing a factor at some point. Biffle got off turn 2 really well. But again, Stewart blocking left rear in the yellow on the tire wear indicator now. So both rear tires really starting to wear. Biffle gets to the inside of Stewart, potentially off turn 4. I think he's there. Probably should have side drafted him a little bit more aggressively that time into turns 1 and 2. Biffle trying to get underneath Tony Stewart. Off turn 2. This is as close as he's been, but he's not close enough. Man. Closing in on the lap car of Scott Wimmer. Oh, contact! Big block by Tony Stewart. Off of turn 4, Biffle tried to take him 3 wide, and Stewart wanted really nothing to do with that. So he did not want to be 3 wide middle off turn 4 with Scott Riggs, the lap car, on the outside. Biffle's got to play a little bit of catch-up now. He's about 0.3 of a second off the lead. So make sure Stewart's not going to get away. Stewart gets around the lap car of Scott Riggs. Scott Wimmer there as well. Riggs all the way down towards the bottom of the racetrack. Goes up into Wimmer. Hard into the outside wall goes Wimmer and Riggs. No caution. We stay green. Oh my gosh. No caution that time, but Wimmer took a big hit there after Scott Riggs overdrives the entry to turn 3. So we're almost 200 laps in. Biffle's starting to lose Stewart. I think he's pushed his tires a little bit too hard. He tried to catch Stewart. By the time he got to him, he didn't have anything for him. And he was doing really an incredible job just trying to keep up with him, and now he's not even able to do that. We'll go through our second and final driver swap of the race today. We'll go to Mark Martin in the 6 car first. Remember, he led a lot at the very, very beginning. He's currently in 12th. He's got Bobby Labonte and Dale Jr. right in front of him. Gotta be getting somewhat close to green flag pit stops. Bonnie down towards the bottom of the racetrack right now. He overdrives it into Dale Jr. Now we've got a caution. As Martin gets by for 10th, caution's out between Dale Jr. and Bobby Labonte, our 11th yellow of the race. Oh, upside down goes Labonte as he rides the wall in turns 3 and 4, sliding on his driver's side door after getting uplifted, contact into the left rear corner panel of Earnhardt's race car. Another caution flag in this race. We may be having pit stops. Mark Martin will pit. And the leaders are going to stay out. Wow, so Martin coming in. Everybody else stays out. This is our 11th caution of the race today, ending our longest green flag run. I was not sure if everybody else was going to pit or not. So I wanted to keep Martin on the same strategy. Well, here we go again. Good race so far, though. We've had a lot of cautions, but we've seen a lot of good racing, though. I've kept it clean myself, so that's why I'm proud of the race so far, because all the wrecks have pretty much been AI-related. It's going to be interesting on the restart. A couple lap cars at the front of the field, about 3 of them to be exact. Green flag back in the air. Martin's got fresher tires, but he's all the way back in 35th now for the restart at lap 204. About 131 laps to go. Terry Labonte rather soars around Mark Martin initially there on the restart. Couldn't quite clear him though. Martin, with those fresher tires, will clear Labonte on the backstretch. Martin with a nice little run to the inside of Petty off turn 4. And get by the 45. That was for 34th. With those fresher tires, he's got a big run on the 49 car of Kenny Schrader. Schrader going down the block. Now he overdrives the corner, and we got another crash. That's the third one Kenny Schrader's been involved in. Contact with John Andretti on the outside, our 12th yellow of the race. Just body slammed the 14. Yeah, Martin will get to the lead eventually again, unless he pits at the same time, you know, depending on how the cautions play going forward. Stay out this time around. Oh my gosh. I thought Talladega... Oh, Martin will be the leader on the restart. Everybody pitted, but Martin pitted the caution before that, and even though he's only got about 3 laps on his tires, he'll restart in the lead. Green flag back in the air, and that was a great restart by Martin, getting by the lap car of Scott Wimmer pretty quickly. So Mark Martin is the leader for the second different time today. Trying to hold on to the lead. Mike Bliss to second. Where did Bliss come from? Bliss with a little run on the front stretch. Martin squeezes him and then overran the corner himself. Great job keeping it off the wall. Mike Bliss is going to get to the lead. Martin on the outside of Stewart, still stuck on the outside going into turns 3 and 4, trying to get to the bottom in front of Ryan Newman. Not sure if he's going to be able to or not. We'll swap back to Matt Kenseth in the 17 car as he is back in 12th. Brings a lap down. Just got by him. Kenseth. Oh, there's contact off turn 2 back there. Behind the 17. Kenseth going 3 wide under Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch. Really low exit. Trying to side draft the 5. Oh man, almost got into Wimmer. Just cleared him. Biffle did not have a good pit stop. Tony Stewart's lost so much ground. He restarted in second. He won the race out of the pits, but he didn't have the track position anymore because Martin, on his strategy, was able to restart in the lead. Well, here we go now. Bliss on the outside. He's going to lose the lead. Martin back out in front again. Biffle losing some spots. The outside of the racetrack. Kenseth underneath the Biff. A little stack up off turn 4 on the inside lane. Biffle gets behind Tony Stewart pretty quickly now into turns 1 and 2. Labonte after flipping, or at least on his driver's side door. Right there. Tony Stewart going up. Might be a mistake to allow Kenseth underneath, but not quite. Now Kenseth gets underneath him off turn 4. And back to the 97 of Kurt Busch we go. Kurt in 11th. Ride with him for 4 laps. He's got his brother Kyle right behind him. Biffle to the inside of Tony Stewart, trying to quickly follow his teammate Kenseth to get by Newman as well. Well, Mark Martin leads this race. Biffle to the inside of the 17. We haven't really seen Kenseth in the top 10 all day until now as well. Interesting seeing him up here. He's got a nice little run underneath Matt Kenseth. Kurt got a little loose off turn 2. He kind of clipped the apron, and there goes Newman up into Kenseth, and we've got another caution. No surprise there. Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman have crashed, and I think Newman actually kept control of his car, but it was Matt Kenseth who ended up kind of just wrecking on his own after the 12 pinched him up into the wall. And Dale, oh, big hit back there. Dale Jarrett also involved as he got sandwiched between Kenseth and I think Ricky Rudd was behind him. Yeah. Second crash, Rudd's, oh, and Earnhardt hits hard. Cautions breeding cautions again at Texas. Not the first time today. And we'll just have to wait and see if it'll be the last. We've had a couple long green flag runs, but we've had quite a few yellows mixed in as well. Green flag going to be back in the air at lap 220. Greatest restart for Kurt Busch. Kenseth going a bit wide on the restart. Allowed Kyle Busch to get underneath him. Kurt stays down right in front of his brother as they get up to speed at Texas. Edwards blew an engine while leading. I think with the yellows that we have seen so far, Kurt Busch to the inside of Bobby Labonte. Might be able to get underneath his teammate Greg Biffle into turns 1 and 2 as well. Definitely looking to do so. He's got a big time run down on the bottom of the racetrack right now. Kurt Busch can't quite get underneath Newman. By the way, Mark Martin no longer in the lead. I think he pitted under that last caution. Martin back to 30th, so Mark Martin off sequence with his pit stops again. He just pitted. Jack Lou Keith, thanks for the 99-cent super chat. Thanks for tuning in tonight also. Martin trying to get to the inside of the 44. We'll go back to Greg Biffle for the rest of the race now. He's in the eye of the storm. In 6th place, just inside the top 5. And trying to get to the inside of his teammate Kurt Busch, but not enough of a run on the back straightaway to do so. He'll stay in front of Gordon in 6th. And Dale Jarrett quickly gets by Newman and now to the inside of Gordon himself. Elliott Sadler leads for the first time today at Texas. trying to take the points lead after points leader and race leader at the time, Carl Edwards, blew an engine. Biffle gets by Busch for 5th. Greg Biffle has not led a green flag lap yet in this race. Everybody should have to pit one more time. They've all pitted about 4 times in the race so far. Biffle topped off on fuel and extra time. But all have pitted the same amount of time for tires. 109 laps to go at Texas. Again, we have had, I believe, if I'm counting correctly, 13 cautions. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the chat, but I think we've had 13 cautions so far today. Stewart, deep dive. Biffle drove it in way too deep himself. Stewart got to get around the 48. If Tony Stewart gets to the lead, he's been very tough to beat today. So that'll be interesting. Jimmy Johnson, who started towards the front, he was at the back of the field at one point. He is up to 4th. Tony Stewart trying to close. Mike Bliss as well. Johnson up the track. He's going to get back down, though, right in front of Greg Biffle. Joe Nemechek, he was in the top 5 earlier. I'm not sure where he's at anymore. I haven't seen him in a while. We've had a couple drivers blow engines during that long green flag run we had of about 70 or 80 laps. I don't know where he's at anymore, to be completely honest. Johnson almost gets the inside of Stewart. Actually made contact with him going into turn 3. Stacked him up a little bit, and that's going to allow Biffle to get to the inside of the 48. Side by side for 4th. Biffle's going to take that spot into turn 1. And Jarrett trying to get by the 48 car of Jimmy Johnson as well. I'd say either Tony Stewart or Carl Edwards has led the most laps in this race so far today, but I'm not sure who has led exactly the most. Biffle overdrive to the entry to turn 1 just a little bit. Top 4 all under a blanket right now with just over 100 to go. Bliss to the inside of Sadler for the lead. And Tony Stewart to the inside of the 38 of Elliott Sadler. Biffle trying to follow. Sadler, I didn't know if he was going to try to take a swing at Biffle or not. He did not. Stewart holding on to second. Biffle trying to get underneath the 20 on the front stretch. Couldn't do it. He's giving up a lot of bottom, though. Tony Stewart gets blocked by Bliss going into turn 3. Great corner for Tony. Can he get underneath them on the front stretch, side by side, potentially for the lead? Stewart's right there. There they are. Door to door for the race lead at Texas. Stewart blocks Bliss. Biffle to the inside of the 0 for second. And he's got it. And we're right back to where we were a long time ago with Tony Stewart leading, Biffle in second. Coincidentally, they've cycled back towards the front of the field. Sadler going for third underneath Mike Bliss. Biffle trying to get by the 20. Shaking and baking. Biffle's got a massive run on the front stretch right now. Gotta get by him while he's got a lot of grip in these tires still at this point in the run. Because he starts to lose him after a little bit. So if you get that clean air advantage, it might be a little harder to pass the 16. Stewart got a great launch off turn 4 that time. 99 laps to go at Texas. What has been a wild race so far today. Biffle's got to run off turn 4. Problem is, we're not too far after the restart. We're not going to see lap cars at all probably during the rest of this tire stint. Biffle going really low off turn 2. Tony Stewart going to block all the way down to the bottom. Stewart overdrives turn 3. Biffle's going to try to send it into the corner, but he can't get underneath him. Stewart almost in the wall on entry to turns 3 and 4. I'm scared to intimidate him. I don't want to... I mean, I've been in situations where I've gotten him loose because of that, and I run into the back of him. And these two haven't had the greatest relationship between the last handful of races either. Great run in the middle of the corner. Slingshot engaged Ricky Bobby style. Oh, Biffle's my favorite driver from this game. That's why we're driving as him. He's going to try a higher line through 1 and 2. Try to force Tony Stewart into a major mistake here. Biffle hoping he has the grip to run the outside. Stewart almost in the wall. Going to try it again in turns 3 and 4. Got to be careful though because Elliott Sadler's down on the bottom. Stewart got the wall off turn 4. Biffle's got to run now, but the 38's kind of there. Man. So close. Still a run on the backstretch. Into turns 3 and 4. Stewart up the track. He overdrives the corner. He's into the wall. Again. Biffle to the inside for the lead. Can he clear him? Off turn 4. He can't. They're still side by side for the race lead. It's Biffle and Stewart. Edwards. I should say Sadler down to the bottom. Sadler's going to take him 3 wide. 3 wide for the lead at Texas. Biffle in the middle. He clears the 20 of Stewart. Barely keeps it off the wall on the outside. And the 38 of Elliott Sadler has just made a 3 wide pass for the lead. What a move by Elliott Sadler. Biffle going wide. Middle of turns 1 and 2. Stewart almost got underneath Biffle. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I got to see Biffle race a couple times this year, and then got to see him in that SRX race at Shared Speedway. Biffle really just trying to force Elliott Sadler into a mistake on the outside. It's just not happening. Tony Stewart drove it in really deep into turn 3. Almost got underneath Biffle. What a battle for the lead between these three. Towards the top. Tony Stewart to the inside of the 16. Biffle had to lift to keep it off the wall on the outside. Biffle back to third. Jimmy Johnson in fourth is closing. Jared in fifth. Gordon sixth. What a battle for the lead at Texas. This has to be one of the greatest battles for the lead at Texas of all time. Tony Stewart's got a massive run right now in the backstretch. Biffle way low going into the corner trying to get underneath Tony Stewart. Got really loose. Clipping that apron. This is as tight as it gets for the lead between 3 cars on a 1.5 miles. Pretty good exit for Stewart and Biffle, really. Stewart just trying to block the 16 of Greg Biffle. Tony Stewart can overdrive the corner. Biffle can't get underneath him. Halfway through the fuel run, these guys are abusing their tires at the front of the field. Knowing there's still one more pit stop left. Stewart fans moving at Biffle fans. I mean, you got to appreciate the racing we've seen. 29.299, fastest lap of the race for Biffle that last time. Big, big run. Biffle looking low. Can't get underneath Stewart. Stewart going a bit wide. Biffle underneath him for second. He's got him. Biffle's got him. But now Biffle overdrives the corner. And Biffle had to lift to keep it off the wall again. Back and forth goes Stewart and Biffle for second. That could allow Sadler to pull away. They keep battling like this. The fact that they're running their fastest laps of the race while battling this hard, I don't know that they're going to last. But if they do, it is going to be one incredible show. Stewart has a big run off turn 2. And he's going all the way down the track to try and block Biffle. Oh, he gets into Sadler! The leaders are wrecking! Stewart's up and over, and Biffle's in the lead! Caution's out! Oh my goodness! I didn't think that they were going to make it. Tony Stewart for a wild ride. He actually didn't flip, but he ended up kind of skipping the rear tires up over Elliott Sadler. He just climbed over his race car. Second crash Sadler's been involved in today, and Biffle's got the lead. Have you ever? Oh my gosh. If this isn't fun, I don't know what is. This is nuts. Green flag going to be back in the air. Biffle leads on the restart. He's got a lap car of Scott Riggs underneath him. And he's going to clear him. Still outside the pit window to make it to the end as we have 80 laps to go in the restart. Tony wrecked Chase Briscoe dirt style. Yeah, it seemed to be. Biffle has not led a green flag lap yet today. It'd be his first green flag lap led of the day, assuming he leads back to the start-finish line this time by. And he did lead back to the start-finish line, but Stewart all over Biffle's back bumper. He was not giving Greg Biffle any breathing room there. Hasn't cleared him yet. Biffle trying to side draft. And Tony Stewart is back in the lead after all this, despite just wrecking. How is he still in this? What a battle. We'll alternate through the different camera angles one final time in today's race now. I wasn't trying to let Stewart by. He was just all over going into one. At least Biffle got his green flag lap led in. He led under caution earlier for 5 bonus points, but Tony Stewart's car is just so good. Even after wrecking, he's still really good. And if I'm Greg Biffle, I don't even think he tried to pass Tony Stewart anymore at this point in the run. Keeping you sane during the off-season, we'll appreciate it. Appreciate you tuning in. This has been one heck of a race tonight. Biffle all over Tony Stewart. Biffle really not wanting to pass him, but Stewart with the damage seems definitely slower than what he was before. Biffle's a lot closer to his back bumper now than what he was before. Stewart pulling off a couple blocks on the front stretch and as well down into 1 and 2. Going up the track a little bit, Biffle's underneath the 20 of Stewart. Stewart barely kept it off the wall on the outside. Biffle had to lift to keep it off the 20. He was pushing wide in the middle of the corner. I didn't know. I was kind of wiggling in my seat. I didn't think we were going to make it there for a second. They did. And Stewart holds on. Slacking for grip, though, at this point of the tire stint. Billy Kramer, thanks for tuning in. What a race tonight at Texas. Biffle underneath Stewart off turn 4. Side by side for the lead on the front stretch. Biffle trying to side draft the 20. Down into turns 1 and 2 they go. Stewart trying to crowd the 16. And again Stewart holds on. Doesn't matter what restart we have. The battle for the lead has been intense over the last probably, really since we got to about lap 220 or so. Sadler no longer in the mix. I think he's got a little bit too much damage from before. Greg Biffle underneath Stewart off turn 2, side by side down the back straightaway. Biffle might be in control now. He side drafts the 20 of Stewart. Into turn 3 they go. Stewart with a big block into the corner. The 16 gets tight. The amount of adrenaline we've had in this 500-mile race is insane. And it's not a super speedway either. It's a different type of adrenaline. It's the edge of your seat, both in the car and out of the car, kind of adrenaline you want as a racing fan. These guys are on the edge of control, and they're doing what it takes. Stewart trying to get the most laps led and win, trying to get back in the points. The points leader, Carl Edwards, that blew an engine while leading earlier, has put the 20 and the 16 in perfect position. They've been the 2 fastest cars besides the 99 today, and they are going at it all race long. But it's been a clean battle all race too, though. Back and forth. Stewart crowds the 16. We've seen a lot of blocking, but it's been clean blocks. 20 to 38 made contact earlier, but the 16 and the 20 have raced each other pretty respectfully. Biffle trying to side draft Stewart. Both rear tires in the yellow and the tire wear indicator right now for Biffle. Looks like Kyle Busch is just taking over third for Mike Bliss, and the rookie trying to potentially be the 11th different winner this season. 20 to 16 really get to battling. He's got to have a shot to try to catch up. Stewart's just shaking all over the place on the straightaways. Biffle again looking low. He's underneath Stewart in 1 and 2, side by side for the lead again. Biffle little lose off turn 2 as he tries to hold the bottom. The 20th Stewart on the outside with a run. Down into turn 3, still door to door for the lead. Biffle being held tightly around the bottom, as close to that white line as possible without touching it in the middle of the corner. Still there, still side by side for the lead. And again, Tony Stewart holds on. It's just so strong. He gets the run off the outside, and he pinches Biffle perfectly every time Biffle gets underneath it. We'll probably be seeing some green flag pit stops any moment. Stewart's coming in. Biffle trying not to miss the pits. Late decision, 2 pit, and he gets in. Wow, that was a close call. Stewart was pitting the same lap as Biffle. 4 tires and fuel for the 16. Almost ran into him a couple times there. And now it's up to the pit crews. The gas man's had a couple of slow stops, but it looks like he's going to engage the gas can pretty well this time. No issues. Oh, but the jackman has to take a little detour around the front tire changer, and that might cost Biffle a little time. That's the 3rd mishap on pit road today for Greg Biffle. There goes Stewart. Kyle Busch is off. That was a slow stop by the 16 crew. A very slow stop. That is unfortunate. Biffle came in the same time as Stewart. He didn't want to give up any extra time to him. Unfortunately, the pit crew did not have a clean stop, and that has costed Greg Biffle some track position late in this race. We'll see if we get any more cautions before the end. Mike Bliss back in the lead for now. Kenseth cycling out in front of the 16. Greg Biffle's going to be pretty far back in the top 10, I'd have to imagine. A lot of cars pitting this time. Kenseth pretty slow off turn 4 as he had to check up for cars pitting. Still trying to get up to speed as well. Biffle to the inside. Should have him cleared in turn 1. That'll be an easy pass for him to make during this point in the run. Couple cars coming out of the pits down at the bottom. Dale Jr., Jeremy Mayfield. Biffle on the outside, though, into 3 and 4. That's not going to help him. Man, tight squeeze there with Mayfield. There's Kane. Biffle's going to have the 9 car cleared going into turn 3, luckily. Mayfield underneath the 8 of Earnhardt. Mark Martin leads. He's on a little bit of an alternating strategy, but he'll still have to pit before the end of the race yet. I don't know how many more cars still have to pit. Biffle will cycle ahead of a lot of cars that are still in the pits right now. There is no sign of Tony Stewart exactly. I think he's that lone car all the way up towards the front. Mayfield to the inside of Wimmer. Wimmer's a lap down. Mayfield goes a bit wide off the exit of the corner. Bobby Labonte coming out of the pits on the bottom of the track. Biffle battling Mayfield for 9th. And he will clear Mayfield into turn 3 for that 9th place position. Still waiting on Mark Martin to pit, and I think he'll be the last lead lap car that still has to make his final pit stop. in this race. We're down to 49 laps to go at Texas. This guy's going to have to go quite a ways on tires at the end of the race. Very tight off turn 4. Kurt Busch and Mike Bliss battling for position. Busch has the spot. And Sadler now underneath the 0 of Bliss. More of those guys battle, better chance Greg Biffle's going to have of trying to close. So Kyle Busch still sitting at 3rd place up there. Well, 4th, I guess, until Martin pits. Then he'll be in 3rd. His brother Kurt's closing in on him. Sadler all over the back of the 97. He's lost some ground. He's wrecked twice today, though. He's lucky to still be in. He's been running without a hood ever since he wrecked the first time. All the way back prior to lap 100. Desperate to try to take the points lead today, even if he can't go to victory lane. He was battling for the lead not that long ago, too, until he wrecked the second time after he and Stewart got together. So they both wrecked from the lead. They might have pushed a little too hard into 1 and 2 that time. Didn't slide too far up the track, though. He's closing in on the cars ahead of him, but he's so far behind Tony Stewart after that slow pit stop. You know, he was right behind him when they came in. He had a great pit road entry. It was sketchy, but he got in pretty clean. And trying to play catch-up. The problem is anytime he has had to do that today, he gets up there, but then he can't get around Tony Stewart. Because his tires are gone by that time, so might run into the same issue again here. Mark will be pitting this time by. This will give everybody their lap back. At least those that were only on the lead lap prior to pit stops. Not if you were a lap down. Obviously, you go from 2 laps down to 1. Slides the tires again on corner entry just a bit. So he closes on Bliss. Trying to, at least. Sadler looking underneath Kurt Busch. Can't quite get underneath him there. Jeff Gordon looks to be in 2nd. His teammate Kyle Busch closing in from behind. Biffle trying to get underneath Mike Bliss. 29.295 that last lap for Biffle, his fastest of the race. Fastest lap for Greg Biffle today. They're only 2 seconds off the lead. Sadler goes a bit wide. Biffle trying to get underneath the 0 of Mike Bliss. Bliss thought about throwing a block. Biffle might be there into turn 3, and he is. Sticks his nose in. Bliss raced Biffle pretty respectfully there, and Biffle's up to 6th. Got to get through these guys for the tires to really start to wear out. Hopefully he could just kind of stick with Stewart to the end. 29.278 again. Fastest lap of the race for Biffle. This point in the running. Sadler with a run right now down the backstretch into turn 3. Oh, he gets into Kurt Busch just a little bit. Kurt gets a bit loose. Biffle had to check up to keep it off both drivers. I'm scared of Sadler. He might try to wreck us if we get underneath him. Sadler going to go wide. Gave up the bottom in turns 1 and 2. He's going to take a swing at Biffle. Biffle's hoping he doesn't. Sadler trying to side draft the 16. He pinches him going into 3, but Biffle's clear. And up to 5th. Kyle Busch has caught Jeff Gordon. Busch going for 2nd. He's underneath him into 1 and 2. And Kurt also trying to follow, as well as Biffle. Gordon may get stuck on the outside for a little while. Oh, Gordon with a big block as he slides in line between the 5 and the 97. Waiting for... I don't know if we can get that lucky with 2 liters blowing an engine today, but we'll see. Biffle trying to get underneath the 97. Not going to really work that time. For better corner exit speed. Kurt going wide in the middle of 1 and 2. Biffle underneath him for 4th. And Jeff Gordon in the 24 trying to get back underneath the 5 of Kyle Busch. They're side by side for 2nd into the corner. Biffle slides clear of the 97. Here we go now, up to 4th. Biffle trying to come back after his pit crew had lost him some spots on pit road. 4 or 5 cars under a blanket right now. Kyle Busch got off the exit of the corner really well. Gordon trying to block Kyle Busch. While Busch blocks Biffle, up the track goes Busch. Sadler to the inside of Kurt. One second off the race lead. Starting to slowly run out of laps. That'd be insane if the race leader blows an engine twice in the race. First Edwards and then Stewart. Busch with a pretty good exit. He's trying to block Greg Biffle. Up the track he goes. Trying to side draft Gordon now. 24 and the 5 are side by side for 2nd place. As they still run side by side. Biffle's got a massive run. Gets underneath Gordon. And he will clear Jeff Gordon for 3rd. Busch to 2nd. Biffle to 3rd. They're closing in on Tony Stewart despite battling for the lead. I wonder if Stewart went the wrong way with an adjustment change. Biffle's pushing extremely hard. I don't know that the tires are going to last to the end of this thing. Might get a bit squirrely at times. We'll hope for the best. Kyle Busch is running down Tony Stewart. Can Busch pull off the upset? About 20th or so in points, give or take. Trying to get his first win in his rookie season. Another rookie, Carl Edwards, has a win this year. Get very early in the year at Pocono. Busch has a pretty good run, and both Busch and Biffle are pulling away from Gordon, Sadler, and, well, the other Busch. Kyle's almost there. He's got a massive run on the backstretch. Tony Stewart almost went a little too far wide on his entry. Biffle clips the apron a little bit, had to lift. In the middle of 3 and 4, he lost some ground. Try to get it back. Tony Stewart crowding the 5 of Kyle Busch. Busch drives deep into the corner. Too deep. Trying to get underneath Tony Stewart. Biffle closes but can't quite get underneath the 5. Both cars carrying a lot of speed into turns 1 and 2 as they're trying to regroup. Catch back up to Tony Stewart. Down to 40 laps to go. 3 cars under a blanket, all battling for the lead at the Texas Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch overdrives the corner into Stewart. They're wrecking on the outside, but there's no caution. No caution. We stay green, and Biffle leads at Texas after Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart get together. 39 to go. A rookie mistake from Kyle Busch. And for the second time tonight, Biffle leads. And here comes Gordon. Biffle's got the track position now. Sadler still lurking back there in third. Gordon putting up a charge on the 16. Biffle's got to keep steady, though. If he gets air loose too many times, it's only going to cost him more and more later in the run. Gordon's not going to be picking a different lane on purpose. Goes a bit wide in 1 and 2 for the second straight lap. I think he's getting tight on that end of the track. He's a lot better in 3 and 4. I'd say Biffle seems to be a bit better in 1 and 2 than 3 and 4. Biffle kind of overdrives the corner a bit. Gordon almost to the inside of the 16. We're down to 35 laps to go, as we have hit lap 300 in this race. Been tough to pass the leader today. Biffle's doing what he can, though, to try to keep that car as steady as possible from the middle to the center. I should say the center of the corner all the way to the exit. Because it is wanting to get loose with Gordon getting behind him, and the more he gets loose, the worse off he's going to be the later the run goes to the checkered flag, and he might not be able to hold on. And that's what Gordon's trying to do right now, is just kind of force Greg Biffle to get aero loose and force him into that mistake. Gordon a bit wide off of turn 2. Elliott Sadler almost got underneath him. And Sadler will get underneath Jeff Gordon now for second. So Elliott Sadler back in the mix. He has wrecked twice today, but is trying to make it to the finish and trying to win this race and take the points lead once again this season after losing it just after this most recent race at the Texas Roval. Forget about Jimmy Johnson back in 4th. Winless this season. Top 3 cars on your screen right now and on the leaderboard all have at least 1 win. Biffle with 10, Gordon with 2, Sadler with 1. Sadler has won at Texas in real life. Trying to get a win at Texas today. 32 to go. I'm just praying that these tires are going to make it the precision to just keep the car as smooth as you can. If you have to burp the throttle a little extra in the corner to do so, you have the clean air advantage. You have to do it. But the more he does that too, though, it counteracts, and then you're going to have those cars right behind him. It's a great battle for second between Gordon and Sadler. Gordon crosses Sadler back over, and Sadler back underneath Gordon on the front stretch for second place. 31 to go. The more they battle, the more they're going to stay off the rear bumper of the 16. Sadler going deep into the corner, though, trying to get by both the 24 and the 16, halfway through the fuel run right now. Sadler going all the way down on the track. Greg Biffle blocking him there. Biffle overdrives the corner, though. He's going wide. And Elliott Sadler. Oh, the right rear wears out a little bit. There's contact, and they're into the wall, and Sadler's down into Gordon. Oh, my gosh. That was not a good hit into the wall. Like, Sadler really crowded Greg Biffle and Jeff Gordon there, and we have another caution with about 30 to go involving the leaders. Man, that's going to hurt the 16 even more, you would think. Ryan Newman, Dale Jarrett a lap down. Green flag back in the air. Sadler's really upset with Greg Biffle now if he wasn't before. Biffle chops Jarrett off on the restart. Dive bombs underneath Elliott Sadler. Sadler runs him down in the middle of the corner. And that keeps the lead for the 38. Newman back on the lead lap for now. Hoping for a quick caution. Sadler has wrecked 3 times today and is still trying to win. It looked like Sadler really crowded Biffle on that outside lane. Biffle couldn't keep it off of him as he got loose. Like there might have been some contact off turn 2 on the last lap, a little further back. Jeff Gordon to the inside of Greg Biffle now for position. Biffle back to 3rd. Does he have too much damage on his race car to keep up with these guys in front of him? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. You'd have to imagine Sadler's got more damage than the 16 and the 24. More contact off turn 2 that last lap as there's more smoke. I don't think that was the same from before either. Down to 25 laps to go. The Dickies 500 at Texas. It's Sadler, Gordon, Biffle battling. For a large portion of the race, it was Sadler, Stewart, and Biffle. And at the very start of the race, it was just Edwards in no man's land as he was just kind of controlling the field. Pulling away on restarts that we had. A lot of lost count of how many cautions we've had at this point in the race. Gordon with a run down on the bottom of the track. He drives it in deep. He's into Sadler. They're wrecking again. And we stay green as Sadler comes up off of the racetrack. Back down on those rear tires. And Biffle leads. That's the 3rd time that has happened where Biffle has led because of it. And the 2nd time the caution didn't come out. Better be lucky than good, I guess. Is that Mike Bliss in 2nd now? Wow. I don't know what to think of this race. This has been something today, I'll tell you that much. I don't even know who's in 3rd. Is that Sterling Marlin? Who's in 3rd? Is Mike Bliss going to win his first career race? Sterling Marlin going to pull off the upset. Kenseth's in 4th. He's closing in. We're down to 21 to go. Just a roulette wheel of different leaders in this one. Biffle's running 29.6s. He's got damage from that Sadler-Gordon accident. He's going wide. He missed the corner, and here comes Bliss to the bottom. Everything has gone right for the 0 of Mike Bliss. He leads. 20 to go this time by. Sterling Marlin is up to 2nd. Up to 3rd, I should say. Kenseth's going for 3rd underneath Marlin. Biffle trying to get back by Bliss. Going to try to run the top in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Really try to force the 0 into a major mistake right now. And off of turn 2, Bliss gets into the wall. That's going to give a run for the 16 on the back straightaway. He forced him into a mistake. He got there, and he's going to take the lead again. Got to be careful not to get aero loose with the tires really wearing out. Kenseth to 2nd. Oh, he's not blocked. I tried to make Kenseth block for me. He doesn't want to. Sterling Marlin, who I don't even think he's had a top 10 all season, is going for 3rd on Mike Bliss again. Alright, so it sounds like Kenseth's going to block for Biffle now. And hopefully this works. And Biffle can try to drive away. $18 to go. Kenseth on the outside, though, going into 1 and 2. Mike Bliss is underneath him on the back straightaway, or at least lurking into turn 3 and trying to get underneath him. tires. How much longer? Yeah, really. I'm saying the same thing. 17 to go. And Mike Bliss is back into second, or at least on the inside. Oh, he's going wide in the middle of the corner. Sterling Marlin going to take it 3 wide to the inside of the racetrack right now. Kenseth, smart. He got out of the gas. It kept him off the walls. Bliss cleared him. Marlin to the inside. Biffle going wide again into the corner. Trying to block in the middle of the corner on Mike Bliss. He's barely clear. He went wide, but then he got back down to the bottom in time. He didn't get aero loose either, so that helped. Here comes Bliss again. Another block on the front stretch by Biffle. Holding on for dear life with a damaged race car. He and Sadler got together off turn 4 a little bit ago. Mike Bliss is in the wall off turn 2, and Kenseth's back into second. It's a crapshoot, but it's a fun one. Mark Martin, who dominated about the first 45 laps or so of the race, he's back in it. 15 to go. Oh, Biffle got aero loose, and he's going around. Back across Dale Jarrett. I don't know if he's going to be the leader or not on the restart, but he got aero loose in turns 1 and 2. He was sideways. He was trying to save it, and he couldn't do it. I don't know where he's going to be scored on the restart, though. Man, you hate to see it. He was trying to hold on for dear life there, but car got out from underneath him. He's still going to be the leader on the restart this time. But now his tires are even more gone than what they were before. Jarrett's got a lot of damage. Green flag back in the air, and we're down to 11 to go. Probably should have pitted there. Trying to hang on. Dale Jarrett's got a lot of damage on his race car. May get a debris caution here before long. Biffle kind of hoping for it. Comes Michael Waltrip. Is he on the lead lap or is he lapped down? I don't know who's on the lead lap and who's a lap down in this mess right now. We're coming to 10 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by. Biffle's loose on the front stretch with Waltrip all over him. Tires are shot on the 16 of Greg Biffle right now into 1 and 2. Elliott Sadler right behind him. Biffle trying to manage it. He's loose. He's in the wall. He's hanging on to the lead. Oh, Bobby Labonte's going to get to the lead on the bottom. Bobby Labonte out in front of Texas. Sadler going wide. And Dale Jr. underneath him? Where did Bobby Labonte come from? And the hometown driver is leading and the caution's out. Caution is out. Again. And Labonte leads at Texas. Mayfield's in third. And Joe Nemechek has shedded debris. I'm not sure where he had damage from, but Nemechek had damage of some sort, I guess. His hood has fallen off, and that is going to bring out a late caution in this one. And Bobby Labonte trying to become the 11th different winner this season and pull off a late race upset now. Green flag back in the air. We're down to 5 laps to go on the restart. And, I mean, if we get a caution for debris again, it could end the race at any point. Oh, Mayfield's going to get by. Biffle did not take off well the restart as he falls back to about third. Biffle blocking Gordon on the outside. Joe Nemechek, despite just shedding debris, is up to 4th as he gets by Gordon. Biffle sideways, he's in the wall! He got loose. 4 to go, caution's out. Race might end under the yellow. Biffle was loose in the middle of the front stretch because he got aero loose from Joe Nemechek, and the caution is out again, and Bobby Labonte may have just won at his home track. not sure where Biffle's going to be scored. It looks like he's still scored in third. Will the race end under the caution, or will we get one more restart? Caution came out with 4 to go. They're lining up, but they may get the checkered flag. We'll see. And then they will. Checkered flag. Oh, no, 2 to go. This is the final restart. We are going to get one more shot at it. And Labonte going to have to hang on. For green, white, checker, Biffle's going to have to hang on. His car is not cooperating with him right now. Oh my gosh, Jeff Gordon, and he's going around, and again, spots are being lost. Back straightaway. Oh my gosh. White flag in the air this time by 1 lap to go. They're 3 wide off turn 4. They're up. Oh, they're wrecking again. Checkered flag is going to have to happen under green. They're sandwiched. The 25 gets hooked. He goes back across the track, and they're wrecking behind Biffle. I think Andretti and Green got together at the back of the pack as they were 3 wide off of turn 4. Biffle's just trying to hang on for every spot he can have. And Bobby Labonte's trying to win this race. Biffle turns the 176 into the wall. For 27th. That's why he turned him. Bobby Labonte has won at Texas. On a green, white checker finished. I don't know what this race was. Oh my gosh. Dang it, man. Everybody that was a favorite to win in the first probably 8/10 of the race, that all went out the window those final 25 to 30 laps. Look at that the top 3. I mean, Bobby Labonte gets his first win, Jeremy Mayfield second, and Joe Nemechek has back-to-back top 5s. Jeff Gordon came back after getting into who did he get into? Elliott Sadler late. He finishes 4th. Mark Martin 5th. Casey Kane finishes 6th. Kevin Harvick 7th. Kyle Busch 8th. Jimmy Johnson 9th. Busch, he got into it late. He overdrove the corner into, I can't even remember who he drove it into. There were so many different leaders there late in the race. I think it might have been when he was with Stewart. He had a rookie error. He kind of overdrove into Stewart, gave Biffle the lead. And an unfortunate finish for Greg Biffle, who had a fast car today, but those tires were shot late in the race, especially after that contact he had with Sadler bringing out that yellow. Bobby Labonte. Got to get the win. He led just 9 laps today, and I believe it was the final 9 laps of the race. Jeremy Mayfield ends up 2nd, though. Again, we went through the top 9. 10th place was Mike Bliss. That's right, Bliss and, who else got in? No, it wasn't... I can't even remember. There were so many instances where the leaders were, like, nearly wrecking in front of us, and we got the lead off of it, like, 3 different times. I can't remember all of them. I don't know how Bobby Labonte got to the lead. I didn't even see him until he was underneath us. I didn't realize he was right there with Bliss. We had 17 cautions for 51 caution laps, by the way, today. Had 2 more yellows than we did last night. 33 lead changes. 3 hours, 56 minutes total time of the race today. 0.2 of a second margin of victory. 127.13 miles an hour was the average race speed. Unbelievable. Yeah, you were hoping Labonte won. He actually won. Unbelievable. 16 car to the hauler. I was just ticked. I wasn't losing any more spots. I didn't mean to turn Vickers. I did mean to turn whoever that 176 car was. Was that Sherry? Was his last name? That guy I turned. I was just frustrated I lost all those spots. I'd have to go back. I mean, I was just loose. Like, right from the restart. But then they were crashing off turn 4 in front of us. And then we were like 4, nearly 5 wide on the front stretch coming to the white flag. I mean, so what was it? John Andretti, Jeff Green got together off turn 4. They were 3 wide, and then they wrecked on the front stretch, and then I got into the back of, I don't even know who was in front of me. I got in the back of them, and that ricocheted me into Vickers. I turned Vickers across the track as a result, and I was up into the wall myself, and then 176 got underneath me off of turn 2, and I wanted to turn him going into 3, hanging on for every spot I could. At that point, I was just letting the chaos continue. Matt Kenseth finished 11th. He led 1 lap. Tony Stewart, who I think led the most laps today, with 102 laps led, he finishes 12th. Kurt Busch started 2nd, finished in 14th, led 4. 27th for Greg Biffle, led 27 laps. Scott Riggs led 28. When did he lead 28 laps? Oh, Elliott Sadler. I was looking at the wrong name. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, so Sadler ended up, did he DNF? How did he finish 38th a lap down? Somehow Jarrett Sadler went a lap down, so Biffle's going to close in. Carl Edwards blew an engine. He led 73, finishes 42nd. So Jimmy Spencer, Carl Edwards, Rusty Wallace, Boris Said, they all DNF'd. 4 cars DNF'd. But Sadler finished 38th a lap down. We had 34 cars finish on the lead lap. I don't think I'm going to be the points leader, but it's going to be a lot closer. We at least did our job beating the 38 and the 99 today. Not the way I thought we'd do it. Now we have to check out the point standings. Can't wait to see Biffle and the guy he turned fight into the Jerry Springer show. Oh my gosh. I don't know what that was. Oh man. Next race is at Auto Club, the Auto Club 500 at California Speedway. The next 2 races are going to be 50% races, and if I'm not mistaken, I think those will be taking place on Wednesday night. We'll have a doubleheader. So a 50% race at Auto Club, that'll be 125 laps, and I believe about 164 laps at Atlanta. So 2 races on Wednesday night, but they're both 50% races. The 3rd and 4th 50% races of the season, so those will be the last of those for the Cup side. And then we go to Sonoma after that for another road course race on the season. But we'll check out the point standings. Tomorrow night we go to Talladega for the Busch Series. Carl Edwards, despite blowing an engine today and only having a 20-point lead over Elliott Sadler, he is still the points leader. So the points leader blows an engine with an narrow points lead. We thought he was dead in the water. He was going to be well out of first, and now he's still the points leader. Kurt Busch is actually up to 3rd. Biffle lost a spot in points. Gordon's 101 back now. Johnson's 138 back. Mike Bliss, he's back in it. He was like 245 points out of first. He gets a top 5 and then a top 10 at the Texas Roval and the Texas Oval, and he's up to 7th, and he led laps late. He had a shot to win there. I can't remember exactly how he ended up falling back as far as he did to finish 10th. I think, I don't even know. There was so much that happened there. He fell back to 10th, though. I don't know if it was a final restart or what it was. But, yeah, he is within 1 race worth of points now. Bobby Labonte 11th in the standings, but gets his first win, our 11th different winner of the year. Where's Sterling Marlin? Where did Marlin finish? I didn't see Marlin in the finishing order in the top 10. He was in 2nd with like 15 to go, and he ends up, I don't know where he finished, but he was outside the top 10. He's 30th in points, and he was competing for the win there late in the race. I was like, where did Sterling Marlin come from? There were so many guys that were wrecking while leading in this race throughout the course of the race or blowing an engine while leading that. It was just a roulette. It's like, well, who's next? Like, who's still surviving this one? It ended up being Bobby Labonte and Jeremy Mayfield on the green-white checker battling for the win, and Labonte gets it done. Thanks, everybody, for watching tonight. That was probably the most wildest Texas race of all time. We're going to Talladega tomorrow, so if that wasn't wild enough, we will be at Talladega tomorrow for the Busch Series. I believe a 117-lap race for the Aaron's 312. Racing as Kyle Busch on that season, of course. First Talladega race, I think I finished in 4th with Kyle Busch, so we'll see what we can do in the second Talladega race of the season. But again, hit that like button. How can you not hit the like button after today's wild race? Subscribe as well, again, for more daily NASCAR content. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Not sure on the start time. Let me check real quick just to make sure. I think it's at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I'll make sure before I end the stream. Yeah, 6. So tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be streaming. So thanks, everybody. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night.